Listen closely. 100 crowns, 100 last breaths. Some ended in peace, some ended in shock, and some will always be a mystery. If true royal stories excite you, stay with me until the last second, because the closing names in this chapter will change how you see power and fate. Do not skip a moment. Every line links to the next, and a twist you do not expect might be the one that stays with you. Watch till the end so you catch every detail and every echo. Let us begin with queens who finished their road in quiet rooms. Elizabeth II closed her life with old age recorded on the paper, the end of a steady life of service. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the Queen Mother, also went softly at a great age. A calm last page after years of duty. Wilhelmina of the Netherlands died at 82 from heart failure, after carrying her people through to world wars. Margaret of Provence, wife to Louis IX of France, died in her 70s of natural causes. Known for strong will and kind acts, Maria Feodorovna, Danish princess and later Empress of Russia, outlived her empire and died in exile at 80, far from the halls that once rang with music. Old age can be a gift when the day ends like a slow sunset and not a storm. Illness was a ruthless hunter before modern medicine. Pneumonia took many crowns. Maria Theresa, the only woman to rule the Habsburg lands in her own right, died at 63 after chest illness and fever, a sharp mind trapped in a tired body. Louise of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, bright hope of Prussia, died at 34 after pneumonia, and a nation entered mourning. Elizabeth of Russia, famous for grand show, also faded after years of poor health. Tuberculosis, then called consumption, took a Neville at only 28, when life should have been opening instead of closing. Smallpox struck queens as easily as commoners. Mary II of England died at 32, and Ulrika Eleonora of Sweden at 53. A crown could sit on a brow. It could not stop a cough. The most human danger of all was childbirth. Isabella of Hainaut died at 19 after labor, joy and grief bound into one day. Maria II of Portugal died at 34 during childbirth. A young ruler who never saw the future she tried to build. Constance of Castile died from childbirth risk as well. Proof that palace walls could not shield a mother. Catherine of Valois, widow of Henry V, died at 35 after illness tied to childbirth, leaving a line that would shape England for generations. Jadwiga of Poland died at 25 after giving birth. A light gone too soon in the eyes of her people. Even in the richest rooms, the cradle and the shroud could stand side by side. Not all endings were slow. Some were sharp, public and final. Marie Antoinette met the blade in 1793 at 37, the roar of a crowd louder than any prayer, and Boleyn was beheaded at 35. One stroke that changed English faith and royal marriage forever. Catherine Howard, barely 18, climbed the same steps and did not return. Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, died at 17, a soft voice caught in hard plans. Mary, Queen of Scots, lost her life at 44, a long last walk and a last prayer. Far from London, Alexandra Feodorovna, last Empress of Russia, was shot with her family in 1918. A crown shattered in darkness. These are not illnesses. They are choices made by courts, enemies, and history's cold hand. Many endings sit in grey light, where records disagree or fade. Elizabeth I died at 69 after weeks of weakness and silence. Was it infection or age? No one can say for sure. Anne of Cleves died at 42, likely from cancer, though papers do not name it. Claude of France died at 24 after many pregnancies. Was it childbirth, infection, or a slow sickness? The trail is thin, but the loss is clear. Zenobia, the queen who defied Rome, may have been killed or may have lived out her days far away. The stories do not agree. Cleopatra died by her own hand after her world fell, and the exact method matters less than the choice. There were queens who lived long but hard lives and ended in calm even if their years were rough. Eleanor of Aquitaine, queen of both France and England in different chapters, died at a great age after outliving kings, suns and storms. Blanche of Castile, sharp and steady mother of Louis IX, died after a full life of rule and hard choices. Eleanor of Castile, wife to Edward I, died on the road, and the king raised stone crosses along her last journey, love carved in rock. Eleanor of Provence died in her 60s after long widowhood, a mind that once moved a court now at rest. Matilda of Flanders, wife to William the Conqueror, died of illness after helping shape a new order in England. Across Europe, the same dangers returned again and again. Isabella of France, the so-called she-wolf, died of natural causes in her 60s after pulling down a king. Philippa of Hainaut died after illness, and Edward III mourned her as a man, not a ruler. Anne of Bohemia, wife to Richard II, died young of an unknown disease, and London cried in the streets. Catherine of Braganza, queen in England but Portuguese at heart, died at home after a gentle last season. Marie Leszewska, long-serving Queen of France, died after slow illness, her prayer beads worn smooth. Farther afield, queens met the edge with courage. Nzinga of Ndongo and Matomba died at about 80 after years of war, talks and rule. Illness did what armies could not. Soraya Tazi of Afghanistan, a champion for women, died in exile after illness. A bright plan passed to new hands. Melisende of Jerusalem died at 56 after a stroke and years of careful balance in power. Tamara of Georgia, a legend to her people, died around 1213. The cause is unwritten, but the love is not in the Tudor and Stuart circles. Death walked close. Catherine Parr, last wife of Henry VIII, died of childbed fever at 36. Her clear mind bright to the end. Catherine of Aragon likely died of cancer, dignity her last shield. Elizabeth Woodville died in quiet after years of fear, the princes in the Tower haunting her memory. Anne of Denmark, wife to James VI and I, died after long illness. Velvet and gold could not sweeten bitter medicine. Henrietta Maria, wife to Charles I, died in France after exile and war. A queen who lost a home and still stood straight. France gave both glory and grief. Maria Theresa of Spain, wife to Louis XIV, died after infection and a deep infection. Faithful in duty. Louise of Lorraine, widowed queen to Henry III, died in deep grief. Margaret of Valois, brilliant and bold, died after long sickness. Writers kept her alive on the page. Anne of Brittany died at 36, likely from a cruel stone in the kidney. Marie de Medici died after years of swelling and breathlessness. Art and plots shrinking into a small quiet. Spain's queens felt both thorn and flower. Isabella I likely died of cancer, a private cost no empire could cover. Joanna of Castile died at 75 after long confinement. The cause is unclear, but the loneliness is plain. Maria Cristina de Bourbon died after a long illness, worry lines cut by years of rule. Isabella II, once a queen and then an exile, died with influenza far from the throne. Old records often hide the truth. Writers used words like dropsy, fever, and consumption for what we now call heart failure, infection and tuberculosis. Many queens likely had cancers without names yet. Many died of sickness a simple pill would defeat. Today, some were said to die of grief, often the body giving up after too much loss. Even when labels are fuzzy, the people are clear. Pain is pain. Courage is courage. Love is love. Before we pause, bring a few more names into the light. Isabella Farnese of Spain died in her 70s of natural causes, yet shaped the line of heirs. Caroline of Ansbach, partner to George II, died from a bowel blockage no doctor could cure then. Anne of Austria fought disease of the breast and lost, but held France steady as regent. Barbara Radziwiłł, Queen of Poland, died young of an illness thought to be cancer. The king's love for her became legend. Amina of Zotzau, a warrior queen in House Astori, is said to have died in battle. Dust on her feet and spear in her hand. Now step back and see the wall of portraits. Childbirth shows what was asked of royal women. Executions show how fast a court can turn. Plague and smallpox show how fragile a kingdom is against nature. Strokes and heart failure show the limits of even the strongest body. Old age shows that sometimes the only reward for service is time. Time to say goodbye and time to drift away without fear. If you are still with me, keep watching to the very end, because the next chapter finishes the circle and gives you the last answers you came for. Like this video, share it with a friend who loves history, and tell me which queen's full story you want next. Make sure you subscribe and keep the bell on, and remember, behind every crown is a human heart, and every heart has a final beat.